and welcome to Dax Chats. In this episode, I'm speaking to an Australian independent country artist who's been around for, well over 15 years now, and he brought out his first EP in 2008, an album in 2010, and then there was a long hiatus that we want to talk about, but he's now in 2020 bringing out new music. He started off earlier this year with his first single called She's In It, and he's just released his brand new album, his brand new single called Whiskey Kind of Night. I'm talking about none other than Jason Lee, and today Dax Chats to Jason Lee, and here he is. G'day, g'day, Jason. How are you? I almost called you
Hey,
mine.
mate, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
You almost called yourself.
Yeah, yes, and today Dax Chats to Dax. So, Jason, you've been around the traps for a long time. You've had awards for Male Vocalist of the Year, APRA Song of the Year. You've done it all. I'm sure you've got the pointy thing somewhere. I want to first find out why the hiatus for such a long period of time. It was like 10 years between releasing songs. So what happened there?
Yeah, so it was kind of it was a bit of mental health, basically. If I be straight up with it, a lot of us kind of suffer with it, and I had a few issues I had to take care of, and went through some troubling times. So I had to make sure that firstly and foremost that I was okay, and then after that, I could get back on track. But I ended up with a job building pool tables and transporting them and reclothing them and reconditioning them. So that kind of helped me keep my headspace. And so, and then it just to and fro with a few things, writing a few different songs and collaborating with some people and just trying to put some stuff together, and just life, just moving and family and just everything. So it kind of took a bit of a toll, and then it ended up being 10 years. But every year, from when I was like maybe 5 years after, so maybe 2014, 15, 16, it was kind of like, oh, I've got to have I really should record something else, and I should record, and the next year I should record something, I've got to release something, the next year I've got to release it. And you just get so busy with jobs. So I end up having my own business down where I live in the Shoalhaven in Nowra. So that kind of took a lot of, and the company I was working for in Sydney was very busy as well. So that took up a lot of my time, So I just ended up going, you know what, it's 2020, I have to record something. I kind of set up this studio at home, and then went, well, if I set it up, it'll force me into doing something, because it'll be just a waste of money otherwise.
Absolutely.
So,
and I absolutely know how you feel, because I'm the same. I've been, recording since 1997, but didn't release my first album until 2012. And then went on a period of just releasing music, bang, 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 bang. And then sort of by 2015, 2016, it was all, I'm sort of done. But it's always been there. And so I think 2019, I released one single for the whole year. And then 2020, it was a pandemic year. My father passed away while we were all in lockdown. And so I raced around and recorded a song right here in my studio, and released that. And I've just been, it's just been dribs and drabs lately, and I'm now starting to put it back together and going, right, 2021 is going to be the year. First single comes out in January, so, and it hits radio next month, so I'm looking forward to that. So
wow.
I can understand how you go through that, and life does get in the way, because people don't understand it's an expensive. We can't say it's a hobby, because we want to call it our career. It's what we do. It's our life. But it is an expensive thing to be involved in, and people don't understand that, this day and age, the return we get on music is not there. So that becomes an issue. So we have to work harder and do, a daytime job, 9 to 5, or, shift work, whatever, just to try and pay for what we want to be doing.
Yeah, that's right. It makes it pretty hard. And like, I mean, the whole streaming, She's in It got like 20,000 streams or so. And you kind of look at that and you might have a song that streams 100,000 streams.
Yep.
But if you look at the return on it, it's really not that much. And this has overtaken our CD sales.
Yep.
And so it kind of makes it really hard. And I guess we're as musicians and artists, we're still grateful that the supporters still come out and they buy our albums from our live shows, because if they didn't support us, it would make it damn hard for us to continue doing it and releasing music, because it is such an expensive hobby, as they say. But it's just you've got to keep. You have to just keep pushing through. Like, you can't just, if you want to give up, then you just give up and just kind of go, okay, well, I'll just become a concreter or a bricklayer. And believe me, I've contemplated being a concreter a few times.
I don't think you can do it, but I mean, once it's in you, I've given up, I've stopped, I've done it, but it's still there and it's still part of you. I don't think you'll ever give it up. And so that's why I'm still releasing music, even though it's dribs and drabs. It's just like something I have to do. It's part of who I am. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I lost dad when I was 18, and I really struggled for a lot of years, and that's and I still struggle now. Like, it's 2020, and I still struggle with it. So I gave up for quite a period of time, from when I was 18 till I was about 22. And then I met a few people who kind of got me back into it. And then I decided that I wanted to take it serious again, because, I was taking paths that I necessarily didn't want to take. So, hanging with the wrong people and, just going out partying, doing silly things. And so it was kind of like, no, I need to reform, or, whatever that word is, and just go, right, that's it. We're going to do this. So, I chose to just go, right, this is my track. I'm going to head down, I'm going to take this journey, and this, I've kind of got like a map of where I want things to go. Sometimes there's roadblocks, and you just got to either jump the roadblock or just find a way around it, basically. And, I just continue to just keep pushing through. And that's why I decided, 2020, I'm going to release a song. I'll put it out there. I'll just, see how it does, test the waters. And She's in It, mighty. It went really strong, and I'm very grateful that then I've gone, right, okay, we went from doing one song release just to test the waters to let's do another one, and then let's do 6, let's do an EP. So we're like, we're going to release an EP in this year. And then all of a sudden I said, yeah, mate, my producer, Simon Johnson, and we're co-producing my new album. And I said, do you reckon we can add one more song on there? And he's like, yeah, I think one more song will be fine. And I was like, and then so a week went later, and I said, do you reckon we could squeeze one more on? Let's make it 8 tracks. And he said, Jace, if you're going to do 8 tracks, we might as well do 10.
Yeah.
I said, well, you know what? Why don't we just do 11 just to make it different? So we're doing... two of my favorite numbers is 19 and 11. They're my 2 all-time favorite numbers. So we were going to call the album 11teen, which is a really cool name, but we've seen a couple of 9s, 19, 11s come out on albums. So we kind of went, well, you know what, 20s, and we just kind of thought, we'll just stick to a name. So Whiskey Kind of Night, that's the, so the latest single is the
title track.
Title track for the album. So we ended up with 11 tracks in the end, and that was just like, go for it, like bang. Like, it wasn't something we planned. Like I said, but that's what the journey's taken us on.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now, talking about, you just talked about roadblocks and how you overcome roadblocks. 2020 has been the biggest roadblock in musical history. How have you got through that? I mean, you've had the first song came out just before the pandemic hit. As you said, it's had 20,000 players on Spotify, but there's no traction in doing live music or live performances. So how's that affected your rollout of your new music?
I've tried not to let it really have a major effect on me, except for gigs being cancelled. That obviously had, quite a bit of an impact.
Mm,
But I just thought, people said to me, "Oh, do you want to hold off on, releasing a track until after the pandemic?" And I'm like,
mm,
well, if we wait till after the pandemic, we mightn't put it out at all. Like, we don't know how long this is going to go on for,
correct.
and we, quite uncertain of everything that's happening. So
Mm,
I just went, no, we'll just release it and we'll just see how things go.
mm,
And then it had a good outcome. So that's why we chose to do it again. But apart from the gigs, I mean, I miss playing live, and but it's, I was saying just recently that the pandemic might be a bad thing, but from an artist perspective, I guess it was kind of good in a way, and it was good in a bad way, I guess. But it just gave us more time now. It's actually allowed us to do more songwriting, do
mm,
more Zoom writing, some more
mm,
Skype writing, to record stuff, to release stuff. Because we weren't necessarily. I mean, shit, we lost all our jobs, and we
mm,
lost all our gigs. Like, because I still work part time. I mean,
mm,
I still have my business,
mm,
which I run as well as doing my music. So
mm.
that kind of it took a bit of a hit, but it wasn't too bad, because what happened is we got a lot more phone calls, because people are like, "Oh, we're on lockdown. Oh, we need table tennis tables, and we need pool tables, and we need," and I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry, mate, we can't come to your house and give
Yeah,
you a pool table
yeah.
to have some fun with while you're in lockdown, because we can't,
Mm,
even though we were still allowed to do business,
mm,
we weren't allowed to, like, enter people's places. So we could go and, like, there were certain things we could do, but then it got to a time where we were allowed to actually do it.
mm.
Um, and then it was just all, it was game on. I've got, like, tables that I have to install this week, and
Wow.
I'm doing like 3 in one day. So
Mm, mm,
it's it's it became pretty hectic, but
mm,
but impact wise, it was, like I said, it kind of, I struggled a little bit, and
mm,
simply because I lost my gigs. And one thing I love doing, and the only thing I really know how to do, is perform live, and
mm, mm.
to use the gift that God gave me. So
Yep, yep. I like how you said that. It was, even though it might have been a bad way, it was good in the fact that uh, as musicians, we're all so busy with our own careers. And, once that stopped, it gave us the ability to do things that we haven't done for ages. So, like, as you say, Zoom writing with people that you've probably never written with before, and
yeah.
collaborations. Like, I collaborated with Cheryl Anderson from Anderson Lane. I was writing a song back in 2018. I pulled it back out in COVID, and talked to her, and she sent back some ideas, and I sent back some ideas, and we came up with a song. And then I was like, well, I'm in China, so I'm not going to release it. You have it. And she didn't know what she wanted to do with it, and she said she was getting ready to record an album, and she was like, oh, I don't know. And then she went down to her producer, which is Bill Chambers, and he
Mhm.
heard the song and said, "Oh, no, you got to put that on the album." So that's now going on an album, and that was co-written through through COVID. And
Mm.
I've just written a song with Glenn Bidmead up in Sydney. So that's some things that as artists, we normally wouldn't be doing, because we're rushing around gig after gig, tours, festivals, and we don't get time to sit down unless we're actually taking that time off to go to a writer's retreat to write with somebody, so, like,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's been a really good part of this pandemic, is we've been able to be more creative, think outside the box, and get opinions from other people that we normally wouldn't have got opinions from.
Yeah, you could, like you said, it's that during any normal, you can't say life, let's say normal season of our world, you wouldn't necessarily be doing certain things, and because you kind of get to it as in my perspective, and I kind of go, oh, I wouldn't mind doing a Zoom call or just doing like a Zoom write or something with someone from Nashville, and then you kind of go, oh, but would I be able to do that? Would they want to write with me? During COVID, it kind of makes you go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a write with someone in Nashville, and I'm just going to contact them. They're like, yeah, man, I'm up for that, because they're in the same issue we're in, that we're all in the same box.
Yep.
So they're just like, yeah. So then that's what you end up doing. But normally you probably wouldn't do that. You would just write it yourself. And then, I mean, I write songs and I get about halfway to 3/4 through the song and I get writer's block.
Yep.
And I want to bang myself on the head with the guitar because it just annoys me. I'm like, I'm getting somewhere, and then all of a sudden it's like this big roadblock, and I'm like, oh no, what do I do? So I just go to people and just go, oh, listen, I've got to finish this, or what do you think of this? And and they're like, oh, that's great, let's do this. And then you end up co-writing. That's how my last album was done, with the songs that were on my last album, Better Late Than Never. Was pretty much, I wrote them. Funny story, a memory I wrote about my dad, and I wrote that on the dunny. So, held out for a pen and a piece of paper, because it just came in here, and it was like, I've got to get this out. I'm like humming it in my head, and I'm singing it in my head. And I'm going, how am I going to do this? Like, I'm in the bathroom. I can't. Like, people always talk about how they've just grabbed a pen and just, but since when do you have a pen sitting in the bathroom? Like, maybe eyeliner. I think the girls probably do that. They grab the eyeliner and some toilet paper and just start scribbling some things down. I guess it might be a bit easier from that way, but with us boys, we can't exactly do that. But that's how most of the songs started, because they just, as soon as they come in my head. I mean, I have dreams of writing songs, and it will be like 3 o'clock in the morning. I swear, I don't know what time it is, because I'm dreaming, but I'll have a dream of writing this song, and then I'll come to, and it's gone, just like that. And I'm like, oh no. And in the dream, it was a great song, and it was something that you hadn't heard before, because that becomes quite a struggle when you're writing songs now, like nowadays in this world, because there is so much music out there. Everything tends to almost borderline sound like something else.
Correct.
So it's a struggle trying to get a melody that's not going to sound like someone else, where you're going to get yourself in hot water, But I have these dreams where these songs are awesome, and I'm like, oh, that's a hit for sure. And then I wake up and it's like gone, and I'm like, come back, please. It's like, have you seen the film clip for Papa Top, Alan Jackson?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, he goes to the fridge and and he grabs a beer out and he cracks a lid, and it's Papa Top again, and it kicks in, and it's like, and then the whole song goes through, and then he goes back and he's back at the fridge and everything's disappeared, and he's like, come back here, and he's trying to grab a beer and open a beer, and he's opening all these beers to try and get back to the dream he was having, or whatever it was. It's kind of the same, you kind of wake up and go, oh no, what was it? Is it going to come back? And mate, you just don't know. Like, just recently I started writing down some stuff on a pad, because it came to my head, and I just kind of went, oh yep, I've got to do something with that, and I just scribbled it down. But that may be one of those nights that I had that dream, that might be something to do with that, and it's trying to make its way out. You just never know.
Yep, totally understand. So the new track is called Whiskey Kind of Night. Talk us through the new track.
Yeah, so this Whiskey Kind of Night was co-written by a guy in Nashville, Mason Thornley, his name is. Great writer, and he's got a publishing company over there. And when I first wanted some tracks, I'd got a few from him, and it's kind of the flip of She's In It. Like, She's In It is, guy meets girl, falls in love, can't wait to spend all his time with her, and then you've got She's In, and then you've got Whiskey Kind of Night, which is the opposite of that. It's like, you know, the guy finally realizes that point in a relationship when he realizes that it's really over, and he doesn't, you know, she doesn't feel for him like he felt for her. And yeah, so Whiskey Kind of Night, it is, you know, people will see it in different lights and stuff. So it might be, you know, one thing mean one thing for one person, mean another thing for another person. But it's going really, really strong, and that's why we've picked it to be, you know, the title track for the album, because it's such, in the artwork was done by Jackson James, which is Jackson Rafferty over here, and such an amazing job at, you know, we used to have guys like Glenn Hanna who would, and I do a bit of artwork, and I used to dabble in artwork and stuff, and I kind of still do stuff myself. I'm pretty handy with Photoshop, and you kind of do things. And when I got Jackson to do the artwork, and because he'd done the artwork for a mate of mine, Brock Colley, who just released his song One Kind of Beautiful, I kind of saw the art and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And so I contacted him, and he's like, yeah, man, we can do this. And my wife took the photo for that artwork at my kitchen bench. And then we gave it to Jackson, and he did his miracle with it. And it looks great. So, you know, we're hoping that he can do the artwork for the album as well, because it's very, you know, gone with the cowboy hat. Like, I mean, you know, I've always been a cowboy hat kind of person, but, you know, you've got to go with the change, like, and the change is that kind of pop country, modern country. I mean, I don't call myself pop country because I still try to stay on that verge of traditional country music, which is your Mel Haggards, your Glenn Campbells, and then just kind of mixed with a little bit of Vince Gill. Who else? I mean, there's heaps out there. Keith Urban, Brad Paisley, just kind of, but not, you know, kind of that but
not going over not going over the top like Keith Urban, where you just don't know what genre he exists in anymore.
he exists in more genres than I've ever read. I think he just does. He does
absolutely
huge talent.
He's transcended genre. He's a legend, that man. That's for sure. All right. So when's the album coming? What have we got to look forward to next?
So it's coming out February 13 is the date that, and I've said it with a few different people. We had February 13th picked because simply it's my wife's birthday. And then someone said to me the other day, well, you know, the next day is Valentine's Day, so you don't want to screw that up. And it was kind of like, no, I don't. So we were going with that, but depending on how Whiskey Kind of Night goes, if that's still on its journey, because, you know, songs have journeys, and they take their own journey. They go and they, you know, it's like a train on a railway line. You're going from, you know, South Coast Shoalhaven to Sydney Central or something. There's all these, you know, off parts they've got to go through. So it's kind of like, well, if that's kind of at its at its end, at its kind of peak, peak, that's the word. If that's at its peak, then we'll just release the album. But if it's not, and it's like mid, or, you know, not even near mid, then we may push it to March. But so we've got between the 12th of February and the 18th of March. That's the period that I want to release the album in, because there's so many tracks on there. And, you know, I just went through them the other day, and they're not all finished yet, but most of them are. And I put them into my studio here, and I was having a bit of a listen, and, you know, moving some around and trying to work out the track listing for the album. And it was like, oh wow, that goes good there, but doesn't really go there. She's in It is very, you know, it's kind of that contemporary pop country song. So that one that boggled me a little bit, because I was trying to put that in somewhere, and it was kind of like, where's it going to go? Like, it goes good in all these places, and it can be anywhere, but it's you kind of want it to be in a good position on the album. So you know, Whiskey Kind of Night's going to be, you know, definitely I can let people know that will be track 2. That's I think that's what I've set to that. The first track is a song called We've Got Friday, and that's very up tempo, comes in great. and it flows on. And there's a surprise in there. So we've gone with 10 tracks plus a bonus track, so which makes 11 tracks, but it's 10 plus the bonus. So the bonus track, I think people are going to love. That incorporates a choir. So just for those people going, a choir.
Ooh, there you go.
So it's a beautiful song, and it's aimed around Christmas. So we couldn't get it out this Christmas. Because everything going on, and then Whiskey Kind of Night being out, and then you kind of go, well, that you can't just, and people said, oh, just sneaky drop it out, and it was kind of like it would affect the other songs, and we may have that release as a single next Christmas, Christmas 2021. And there's a couple of there's a couple of surprises on the album, but there's some tearjerkers, there's some happy songs, there's some funny margarita songs, and
got to have some drinking songs, that's for sure.
I haven't got there's only one, except there's drinking has kind of been, well, Whiskey Kind of Night, that's a drinking song.
There you go. That's right.
So, but there's a few on there that but I think people are really going to enjoy the album. And the way that I've set the track listing is everything's complementing each other. So track one complements,
Just one question that I want to ask, because here you are, you've got 2 singles off the album. Is it appropriate to run 2 singles? Because in this modern day and age, where streaming is the whole thing, and the next song is the next song, and the next song is the next song, and they've got like a 3-month cycle, whether it be on radio or whether it be on streaming. They've sort of got this 3-month cycle that they go through. Once you drop in a whole album, you sort of lose that momentum. Is it better to drop 3, 4, 5 singles before you drop the whole album?
I think it kind of depends. If you've got an album that has 20 songs on it, then by all means you could drop 4 or 5 or 6 singles from that album, because there's plenty of songs to pick from. I mean, I know that there is probably about 6 or 7 I'd say 6 or 7, maybe even 8 tracks on my album, which are potential singles. They could be put out as a radio single. But with a song being an album being 10 or 11 tracks, which is a pretty standard thing for an album. 3 tracks I think is kind of 4. I think I feel could be pushing it, because you've got to remember that you kind of, if you're not announcing that you're doing the album, you're releasing the album, then by all means, I think 3 or 4 tracks could be fine. But I think by the time you get to the 3rd single, I think people are itching to find out what's coming next. Like, you can't keep them, what's that word? Suspense, like
keep
for
them
too
hanging
long.
on.
Yeah, because they'll just get peed with you and go, well, I'm not going to bother waiting anymore, because obviously there's not going to be an album more. So people start talking and things start getting said. So you've just got to kind of go, first single, second single. I mean, we were just going to do first single, second single with the album. So we've ended up going, let's go 3 singles to make it, a bit more kind of not suspense, but wait. And we've only done that because we needed more time, which is kind of like, oh no, but it's not finished yet. What am I going to do? I can't just put out, we might have to just put out an EP, and then we can split it into 2 and have 2 EPs, so we could have drop the first EP and then drop a single with an EP again. And it was kind of like, no, I want just like a whole album. And so that's what we've done. But I think, if you've got like lots of songs, I know people, deliver albums that have got, up to 18, 20, 20 something songs on there. But I normally, those collaboration discs, and, but, I kind of wouldn't put an album. I think it would be kind of a waste for a lot of songs if you were releasing an album that had 20 songs on it. I think that's kind of, but you put an album on and you play the album. Especially me, I do it. I just picked up Melinda Snyder's new CD, Be Gentle on Yourself, it's called. And amazing. It's beautiful. There's a couple of tracks that she's previously released, which have people would have heard, but
Mm.
I think they've been released. I think there was one of them that had been released, and
Mm.
but I put it on, and I think there's like 4 or 5 tracks. I don't have it here with me, but I was kind of like, oh, more,
Yep.
like, is there
Yep.
more?
Yep.
Like, because that's an EP, and
Yep.
but I've also heard albums where I put on an album, and like Hardy's new album. So I just got that, and I listened to that in the car and almost repeat because I love it. And when it gets to the end, you kind of go, is that it? You know, it's
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, wow.
Yep.
But, you know, if you've got like 11, 12, 13 tracks, I think it's a really good, you know, solid album there of time.
Yep.
And, you know, go for as long as the songs aren't going for 10 minutes each, or, you know, they normally go 3.5 to 4 minutes, and that's, you know, awesome.
A lot less these days. Some of them are coming in under 3 minutes these days. 2:46, 2:55.
Yeah,
you know?
wow.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff that's being pushed out now is under 3 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I've not actually checked any of mine to see what but I'm pretty sure they're all around 3, 3:10, 3:20, 3:45. You know, around the 3 minutes.
My new track's 3 minutes 14 seconds. I know that much.
Yeah, I've got this song that I started writing just recently. I think if I was, because I could probably write that and just go verse. It's a verse and a chorus with a solo and a chorus.
Yep.
It would come in under 2 minutes. For sure. But I wouldn't do that because I need more in there. Like, I want another verse. You got to tell a story. It's all about a story. Like,
That's
got to, especially when you're writing a song, it's, you know, what makes a good country song? The story behind it.
That's true. Well, thank you very much for your time. I loved talking to you for the first time. We did try this earlier, but you were ill. So I'm glad you're back on board and everything's looking good. Congratulations on the new single, and I look forward to hearing the album.
No worries. Thanks, mate. Thank you so much.
No worries. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Jason Lee. His first single this year was called She's In It, and his brand new single is called Whiskey Kinda Night, which is also the title track, I should say, of his upcoming album, which should be out somewhere between February and March. We don't quite know yet, but you've got the dates there. All right. You can, of course, find all of his songs on the usual streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music. You can purchase them from iTunes, of course, or you can listen to them on the Country Thunder Network. Just go to our website, which is right up there, countrythundernetwork.com. Hit the logo, the Country Thunder Network logo, and it'll take you straight to the player. You can request them straight from the player. And what's more, you can vote for them in the Country Thunder 20. Just go to our link tree link on our socials. So go to facebook.com/Country Thunder Net. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Fab APC, for coming on board. Thank you very much for that. And as always, we are proudly supported by Neon Horse, right up there in Stanhope, Victoria. Until next time, this is DJ Dax. You've been watching Dax Chats. Bye for now. You got that love, yeah, you got that style, and you're making my heart race a little further than a country mile. You take me back, you light my fire, yeah, you're the only one that can ignite this desire. So settle up, baby, get strapped